The Jews are in the desert, life is absolutely fantastic, and a man by the name of Korach comes along and challenges none other than the leader of the Jewish people. He turns to him and he says, Rav lecha kol ha'edah, you have too much. Why do you put yourself above the entire congregation? Who do you think you are, Moshe? As the story progresses, we know that the whole rebellion takes place with Korach and 250 men who eventually get swallowed up in the ground themselves. But the question needs to be raised. This challenge of Korach towards Moshe doesn't make any sense. There's one person in the entire Torah that we're told was the humblest man that ever lived on planet Earth. That man was Moshe. If that's the case, how can Korach turn to Moshe and say, how come you have so much power? You're so egotistical. You only think about yourself. We're dealing with Moshe, the humblest man that ever lived. What on earth was Korach thinking about? I think the answer is this. There is a classic Jewish teaching from the Talmud that says, Kol haposel bemumo posel. Anytime you invalidate someone else, you're actually invalidating something that you have within you yourself. If you portray your negativity onto other people, if you find fault with other people, if you find flaws with other people, it's simply because you haven't looked at yourself. And what you are looking at is really a reflection of who you are yourself. So there's a story that's told of a man that comes to visit his friend. And they go to visit one of the local museums. And this man says to him, you know what? This museum is absolutely incredible. They have the most incredible exhibit of art, of architecture, of all these incredible things. And he goes in and he says, well, what do you think of this? He says, well, that's like, dirty. So what do you think about this exhibit? He says, that also doesn't look great. And each exhibit he puts down until his friend looks at him and he says, do you realize you have tomato ketchup on your glasses? So in reality, the exhibits in the museum were absolutely beautiful. They were gorgeous, they were clean. But from his perspective, because he had dirty lenses, everything he saw looked as if it was stained, looked as if it was dirty. So going back to our original question, what was Korach thinking by telling Moshe that he was egotistical, that he had too much pride, that he had too much power? In essence, what he was saying is that I have too much pride. I have too much power. I have too much ego. It all comes from me. It all comes from within me. What I'm seeing in you is really a reflection of who I am. So the practical lesson for all of us is that maybe there are people in our world, our friends, our circle of friends, our communities, that we don't get along with, or that we think have problems because we think they have problems, but really, maybe those problems that we think they have are really coming from within. And maybe sometimes we have to look at ourselves to see if the problems that we think other people have are really the problems that we are grappling with, that we are struggling with, and that we have to fix. Be great, be a giver, and look inside yourself before you find fault with other people. Shabbat Shalom.